Hello, everybody. Greetings. I am Decimus Aurelius, Praetor and Governor of Provincia Australia of Nova Roma, and Praetor for Nova Roma in general. We are here for Capitulum Quintum, Chapter 5 of the, what is it? Here it is, the Lingua Latina per se Illustrata book series. It's the Orberg method. It's a completely Latin book, so there's no English or any other languages in there. It's all in Latin. And we are, in this series, learning Latin. So I'm learning from scratch. I'm not an expert. I don't know much Latin at all. And we're using this book to learn Latin. And it's an interesting method, one where we essentially deduce the meaning by reading through the book and reading through the grammar notes in this very specially written book. And we're now up to Chapter 5. And what we're also using is a channel by Scorpio Martianos. So look that up on YouTube. It's a YouTube channel, Scorpio Martianos, and a guy by the name of Luke Ranieri. He is offering and does a whole audio series of this book. So we're listening to him as a well-known Latin speaker on how to get the pronunciation right for all the words. So if you're interested to see what we're looking upon, it is from the Scorpio Martianos YouTube channel. So go there, give that channel a subscribe as well. And you'll be able to pick up on the pronunciation of the words, and that's what I'm using to learn in conjunction with this book. So let's get started on Capitulum Quintum, and let's see how we go this evening. So let's bring it up. Here we are. The channel is ready to go, and let's press play.
Capitulum Quintum. Ville tortus.
Ville tortus, okay.
Ecce ville tortus Iulii. Iulius in magna villa habitat. Pater et mater et res liberi in villa habitant. Iulius et Aemilia tres liberos.
So I'm just going to pause there because I want to take note and stock of the illustration that's there at the moment. So we have hortus, which is describing, I guess, the land next to what it appears to be the villa, or the villa, I guess, is if we were to use the English pronunciation there. So it appears we're talking about property here. So hortus kind of sounds like, what's the word I'm searching for? In chat, let me know what the word I think. You pull the word out of my head. Hortus appears essentially to be the land, and villa is obviously the property itself, or the large house or mansion, whatever the case might be, a nice property. And it's the same in English. If we were to describe something as a villa, it would be something out rurally. It's often quite a nice property as well. So we've read about 2.5 sentences there. Let's tackle those. We've got villa et hortus, so the house and land is roughly what I'm going to be going with at the moment. And we have ecce ville et hortus Iulii. So ecce we sort of worked out to be in previous chapters to be like look, or this here is this, or look, something along those lines. Look at the villa and the land, or Julius's villa and land. There we go. Julius in magna villa habitat. So Julius, it appears we're talking about he lives here, and that would make sense based on the context. Habitat, meaning, I guess, to live. And that word looks like the English word habitat, meaning, a location where, well, something lives, really. We often use habitat to describe where animals live. In this case here, the Latin word we're describing where Julius lives. So the habitat of Julius. So Julius in magna villa habitat. We know that magna means great or big. So Julius lives in a large villa. There we go. We said pater et mater et tres liberi in villa habitant. And we see a slight variation there of habitat. Habitat, habitant. So I guess we're talking about plural here, and that makes sense based on the context of the sentence. So the father and the mother and 3 children live in the villa. Good. Let's carry on.
Sabent. Duos filios et una filia. Non duas filias.
Okay, let's just double check here. So we have Julius et Aemilia tres liberos habent duos filios et unam filiam non duas filias. So Julius and Amelia habent. I'm going to say have habent. Julius and Amelia tres liberos habent. So they have 3 children, 2 sons, duos filios, and 1 unam filiam. And so 1 is taken on the feminine here because daughter is feminine. So we have unam filiam. And we're, I guess, backing up the statement by saying non duas filias, so not 2 daughters. So they're enforcing the fact that they have 2 sons and 1 daughter, not 2 daughters. Making sense so far? Now, there are some notes over here on the side. You can see one so far, and it has the word eorum, so that's down here on the bottom left. You can just see it on your screen there. Eorum, which is equating to severum, which I think means slaves in plural, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just trying to remember back to the previous chapters. For those that recall or have studied their previous chapters, perhaps more than I, you'll be able to confirm that for us. But again, we'll be able to derive more from the context very shortly. So let's have Luke continue on for us, and let's get the next paragraph here. Here we go.
In villa multi servi habitant. Dominus eorus Iulius. Is multo servos habet. Ancillae quoque multi in villa habitant. Domine aro est Aemilia, ea multas ancillas habet.
All right, let's pause there and let's have a look. So in the margin on the left-hand side, we have ist, which is equated to Julius. So that might be like another type of pronoun where we're referring to Julius in the sentence, and we've seen examples of that already. We have iarum, which is the equivalent of ancillarum. So we have eorum for male slaves, iarum for female slaves. And we have ia, or ea, we'll get the pronunciation right, for equal to Amelia. Now, interestingly enough, we see this same pattern. So ia and iarum for ancillarum, and eorum, and so ia. So we got eo for like male, ia for female. And then a little bit further down under that, we have examples of, and we've seen this pattern again before when we had in Italia. So when we're talking about something is in, at, or on, we elongate that last vowel. So we've got the elongated O and A. So in horto, so I guess in or on, I'm going to say the property or the land. And we have in the villa, so I guess in, at, or on, inside the villa. Cum, which is with, Marco. So when we're saying with someone, again, we've got to modify the ending vowel here of the word. So with Marco or cum Julia, with Julia. So there's some of the notes on the left-hand side. Let's try and remember those as we read through. If I miss something, make sure you prompt me in the chat or in the comments on YouTube later if you're watching this in the future. So we had in villa multi servi habitant. So in the villa, there are many slaves who live there. So many slaves live in the villa. So servi is multiple slaves here. Dominus eorum est Iulius. So Dominus, so Julius is the master of the slaves. So I guess it's of them potentially. So we're not saying slaves here because that's what severum would mean. And severum here is the genitive. Severum is the genitive multiple of slaves. But here, kind of like ia for Amelia, it's like male version of them. So the first line confirming, there are many slaves, male slaves. There are many slaves that live in the villa. And Julius is the master of them, is what I'm deriving here. So there's a genitive version. And we then say, is multos servus habet. So is, we're referring to Julius, so I guess maybe he has many slaves. Multos servus. Habet, so he has many slaves. So we're confirming, I guess, the previous line. And what's going on. So far, so good. I think we're on track. Then we say, ancillae quoque multae in villa habitant. And we know that ancilla is a female slave. Ancillae is plural. So also living in the villa, also, yep, there are many female slaves living in the villa. So ancillae quoque multae in villa habitant. Then we have domina eorum est Aemilia. So Amelia is the master of them, or is their master. So ierum, so referring here to the female slaves. Iel multas ancillas habet. So she has many female slaves. Okay. Good so far. I think we're on the right track. Sounding good.
Julius in villa suabitat cum magna familia. Pater et mater habitant cum Marco et Quinto et Julia. Julius et Aemil in villa habitant cum liberis et servis et ancillis. Villa Julii in magnortost. In Italia sunt multae villae cum magnis hortis. In hortis sunt rosait lilia.
Okay, let's have a look there. So we have Julius in villa sua habitant cum magna familia. So Julius lives in the villa sua. I wonder if that might be his villa, potentially. Julius lives in his villa with cum magna familia. So sua I have to confirm, but I think we're meaning his possessive here. So Julius lives in his villa with cum magna familia, a big family or a great family. Then we say pater et mater habitant cum Marco et Quinto et Julia. So the father and the mother live with Marco et Quinto et Julia, so Marcus and Quintus et Julia. Julius et Aemilia in villa habitant cum liberis et servis et ancillis. So Julius and Amelia live in the villa with children and male slaves and female slaves. Good so far. Again, I'm going to note in the margin here we have rosa, which looks like a rose, and lilium, which I'm going to guess is lily in Latin. So we have rosa, potentially meaning rose, and lilium, which potentially means lily. Again, I'm not an expert on flowers, but that sounds about right to me so far. Next we have villa Julii in magno orto est. So Julius's villa is on great land, is on a great set of land or great property. Okay. In Italia sunt multae villae cum magnis ortis. So in Italy there are many villa. So we've got the plural villa there, villae, with large land, so great land, or estate. Could be estate, something like that. If we keep it generalised, estate or land or property, where would we normally find villas is the question there. And then we have in hortus sunt rosae et lilia, rather. Let's try that again. In hortus sunt rosae et lilia. So in or on the property are roses, multiple, and lilies. So multiple lilies here. Okay.
Julius multas rosas et multa lili in orto suabet. Hortus Julii pulcherest, qui neo sunt multa et pulcrae rosae liliaque. Aemilia femina pulcrast. Sura non est femina pulcra, neque pulcherest nasus eius, sed foedus est.
All right, let's have a look. So we have eo, which is referring to the horto here. So I guess in or on the property. That looks very similar to the horto before that we saw. Now we have a new word, pulcra, pulcrum and pulcher. We have hortus pulcher, which is male, rosa pulcra, female, and lilium pulcrum, which is the neuter here. So it's a descriptive adjective, potentially. So hortus being male, we use the male form. Rosa, meaning which is the feminine, we use pulcra, so it's an adjective that we're talking about here. It's a new adjective. So let's see if we can derive the meaning of this adjective here. So we've talked about those lines, so we're up to about line 13 here. So in hortus sunt rosa et lilia, so we said that. So Julius multas rosas et multa lilia in horto suo habet. So Julius, we see the final word habet, so has. So Julius has many roses and many lilies in suo, and we saw suo before, and we think it says his. So in his property, or on his property, on his estate. I like estate. That sounds more Roman. Let's go with estate as for the meaning of horto here. There's hortus Julii pulchra est, quia in eo sunt multae et pulchrae rosae lilaquae. Some mouthfuls there. Hopefully I'm not too far off the pronunciation, but make sure you go back and listen to Luke's pronunciation and remind me in the comments if you think I've got it wrong. Spell it out phonetically, and I'll go back and do some more study as well. So I have Hortus Julii. So Julius's estate is, and I'm going to go with beautiful here. So Julius's estate is beautiful because in eo, we're talking about Hortus here, because on it, I'm assuming, there are many beautiful roses and lilies. So it's a bit funny because the word order here, because we go straight from multi and straight to et, but this et is there. Let's derive that. So we have que, which is the equivalent of and. So we have the and between rosae and liliaque, so roses and lilies, unless you can also include that, because otherwise it doesn't quite make sense. So Julius's estate is beautiful because on it are many beautiful roses and lilies. That's the way I want to translate that sentence. Perhaps you can also include the additional et, which appears to be what they're doing here in line 15. Now, clues down in the bottom here. We have foldus, folda, and foldum, which apparently is the opposite of pulchra. So let's assume that we're talking about ugly. So let's see if we're right. So Aemilia femina pulchra est. So Amelia is a beautiful woman. Sura non est femina pulchra. Oh dear. So Sura, the female slave that we know about, is not a beautiful woman. Neque pulcher est nasus eos, sed fodus est. So Sira is not a beautiful woman. Neque, and I can't quite remember that off the top of my head. So not and not beautiful. So she's not a beautiful woman and not beautiful. Is not beautiful. Nausus eos. So Nausus, and there's a clue actually on the next page. So Nausus here, as you'll see in a minute, is referring to a woman with a very large nose. So Nausus is a big word. So we have eos here, we're referring to Sirai, which is essentially the genitive by the looks of things. So her nose... So we're saying but is ugly. So we're saying that Sira is not a beautiful woman rather, as opposed to multiple women. Sira non est femina pulchra. Sira is not a beautiful woman. Neque pulchra est nausus eos. Nausus appears to be big nose, potentially, or nose or big nose. It looks like a big nose here. So she has a big nose, but maybe she has a beautiful nose. Because, well, there's not because there. Her nose is not beautiful, but is ugly. I think we've got it. I think that's the derivative I've got. If you've got something a little bit different, let me know in your comments, either on the YouTube or on in the chat here if you're watching live. So we're saying that she's not a beautiful woman, but she potentially has a beautiful nose. Her nose is beautiful, but she's ugly. But is ugly, despite having a beautiful nose. That's kind of what I'm picking up. Let's go to the next page. Let's see if we can't get a little bit more going on.
Syra, quae bonancilla est, nasum magnuit foiduabit.
There you go. There's the Nasus nose.
Julius est virae miliae, feminae pulchra.
Now, I just want to pause here because I also want to look at this diagram. We're obviously going to look talk about this diagram shortly here. So I can only assume it's the inside of on the villa. So we have number 1. So we've got is the ostium. Looks like entrance, I guess. We have number 2, the atrium, and I guess we use that word in English as well. So I guess the main entrance foyer. 3, we have impluvium. I guess it's kind of like a water feature, noting it's blue. I guess we'll get some more description in a bit. 4, and this is a word which will be interesting to hear the pronunciation from Luke later. So based on what we're seeing here, it looks like peristylum. 4, again, we can't really tell from the picture. It might be some sort of garden or atrium, potentially. Oh, no, I said atrium before at the beginning. 5, cubicula. We're going to say cubicles here. They look quite small. I wonder if they're like slaves' rooms, potentially. And then we have another ostium in 6. So essentially as another entrance. Potentially a slave's entrance. If we're going to say 5, the cubicula is the slaves' bedrooms, and 6 are probably like a slave entrance potentially to the property. So we've got the first couple of lines there. Let's say Sira que bona ancilla est. So Sira is who is a good female slave. Okay. So Sira, who is a good female slave, nausum magnum et fodum habet, has a big and ugly nose. Okay. So we're not saying she has a beautiful nose. She has a big and ugly nose. So we'll have to revise what we were deriving from that previous sentence. Julius est vir Aemiliae feminae pulchrae. So Julius is a man. Julius is Aemilia's man. A beautiful woman. So Julius is Aemilia's man, a beautiful woman. Okay? Is what I'm picking up there. Then the next line, let's listen to Luke.
Julius Aemiliamat, quae ea pulchret bona femina est. Aemilia Julium virum suamat et quae habitat.
Sure.
Pater et mater libero suos amant. Julius non solus, sed quae Aemilia et cum magna familia.
Let's pause there before we run out of words. So, Julius Aemiliam amat, quia et pulchra et bona femina est. So, Julius, something about Amelia. So, we've got a new word here. I don't think we've seen it before. Amat. So, I guess he does something. Amat, with the ending T or AT there. Quia, because ia pulchra et bona femina est, because she is a beautiful and good woman. Okay, let's see if we can deduce the meaning on the next line. Aemilia Juliam virum sum amat et cum eo habitat. So Aemilia Juliam virum, so something to the man Julius, or Julius the man. Sum amat. So all these words are taking on the action ending, the M ending. So sum, potentially her, amat. So Amelia is doing the same thing back to the man that is Julius, and lives with him, is what we're saying here. So amat here could potentially be, and let's see if there's any more clues going on. So we have them in the future sentence. We have pater et mater liberos suos amant. So the father and the mother love, potentially, their children. So maybe they love each other, which makes sense. They're a family. So if we say Julius loves Amelia because she's a beautiful and good woman, Amelia loves her man Julius and lives with him, him. The mother and the father? Don't know if he loves her as much as the father. Pater et mater, so the father and the mother love their children. I think I was going to say, pater et mater libero suos amant. And we've got the plural version of could be love here. Julius non solo sed cum Aemilia et cum magna familia in Julia habitat. So Julius is not, so solos is a new word here, sola and solum. Julius is not something, but lives with Amelia and with a large family in the villa. Maybe it's not, well, it looks like solo, doesn't it? So Julius is not alone is what I'm going to deduce here. So let's listen to the rest of Luke for that pronunciation.
In villa habitat.
Okay, good. So we're up to that point, line 24. Good. So I think that's about right. So the father and the mother love their children. Julius is not alone, but lives with Amelia and with a large family in the villa. Okay. I think we've got it. Moving on.
In villa sunt duo ostia. Ostium magno et ostium parvum. Villa duo stiat multas fenestra.
Fenestra habet. So we are in villa sunt duo ostia. And before we talked about having two doors, so we're agreeing with that statement so far. In villa sunt duo ostia. In the villa there are two doors, ostium magnum et ostium parum. A big door and a small door. Villa duo ostia et multas fenastras habet. So the villa has two doors, ostia. The villa has two doors and, or habet has, owns. So the villa has two doors and many fenestras. So ostium, and we have the image on the right-hand side, ostium et fenestra. So it appears to be some sort of door and window or entrance. Maybe it's entrance. So if ostium is, say, door, fenestra is probably entrance. So the villa has two doors and many, hang on, no. The picture, we have a door and a window. So ostium is door, fenestra is window. That makes sense. Considering we're saying the villa has two doors and many windows. It has many windows. Cool. That makes sense. Now here's a picture of an atrium. It looks very much like a grand entrance, doesn't it? And there's that water feature in the middle, which we deduced before, which I think we said is impluvium, is what potentially what we described as that water feature in the middle. All right, let's move on.
Sabet. In villa Iuli magno atrium quim pluio. Quid est in impluio? Eneost aqua. In atrio nullae fenestrae sunt.
Okay, so eo here is referring to impluio. So we have the adjective there. So in villa Iuli magnum atrium est cum impluio. Quid est impluio? In eo est aqua. In atrio nullae fenestrae sunt. So in Julius's villa is a large atrium with an impluio. And again, because we're saying with, we're talking about something here. We have the change in ending. So it's not an impluium. We're talking about with impluio. So referring to the impluium here. Quid est impluio? What is in the impluio? What is in the impluium? And in the impluio, in it is, or in it is aqua. And that looks very much like water. So there's water inside the impluium. That makes sense. In atrio nullae fenestrae sunt. So in the atrium, there are no windows. And that makes sense based on the image that we're looking at there. All right. We get to turn the page. We're doing well.
Etiam peristulum.
Peristulum. I wanted to practice that word when that came up because that would look like it was going to be the difficult word here. Peristulum. And we've seen that before when we say pronounce Sira's name. It's not Sira in the Australian accent, it's Sura. So peristulum. So I guess we're going to try and get that right through the course of this chapter as well. So clues, we're looking in the image here right in front of us now, the peristulum, which looks like to be garden. So I think we guessed that before. And we have a new word, etiam. Etiam, which is equal to quoque. So etiam is also, which is equal to etiam. Okay, peristulum equals to p quoque. Interesting. Let's see if we can derive what it's trying to imply there. Maybe because peristulum is a large word, they want to summarize it. Shrink it down. Right, let's take a sip of tea while we analyse and practice peristulum. Practice that at home. Okay. Etiam peristulum magnum et pulchrum in villa est. Also in the villa is a large peristulum, large and beautiful peristulum. So also in the villa, etiam, that's what I'm going with. Etiam is equal to also etiam. Okay. I don't know, why can't we use quoque? Maybe it's just because how we started, but we introduced this new also concept. So also in the villa is a large and beautiful garden. Let's say, well, I want to call it an atrium because I think that's how what we'd describe it in English is that would be an atrium, but an atrium is actually an entrance. Let's continue to refer to peristulum. It'll be good for the practice.
Magnuet pulchrim villa.
Pulchrim.
Peristulum est vocabulum Graecum.
Oh, interesting. So peristulum est vocabulum Graecum. So peristulum is a Greek word. Okay.
In vilis Graecis et Romanis magnet pulchra peristula sunt.
So in Greek villas and great Roman. So in great Greek and Roman villas, in great and beautiful Roman villas, there are peristula, so the multiple plural of these garden concepts. Peristula. So in great and beautiful Greek and Roman villas are peristula, these garden things, okay? In villas Graecis et Romanis magna et pulchra peristula sunt.
Est nin pluin peristulo.
Esne impluium in peristulo. So, is there an impluium inside of a peristulio?
Id non in peristulo, sed in atrio est. In peristulo parvus ortus est.
So here, id, we're referring to an impluium. There is not a peristulo in it. I'm going to say there is not a peristulio in it, but there is in an atrium. So atrio. So again, we're changing that final vowel because we're referring to something being in at or on it, and then we say in peristulo parus hortus est. So inside of a peristulo is a small hortus, is a small estate. Oh, interesting. I like that description. Okay.
In villa sunt multa cubicula.
Cubicula.
Qui
I said that wrong before. I was saying cubicula. I think cubicula. Okay.
intus in cubiculo parvo dormit. Est ne magnum cubiculum marci, id quoque parvunst. Iulius et Aemil in cubiculo magno dormiunt. Ubi dormiunt servi, quoque in cubiculis dormiunt. Sunt ne magnaeorum cubicula? Ea non magna sunt, et multi servi in uno cubiculo dormiunt. Et iancillae multa in uno cubiculo dormiunt.
Almost there.
Nequeae magna cubicula avent.
Oh, he hurried up because we knew we were running out of room. Good on him. Right, so we have in villa sunt multa cubicula. So in the villa are many cubicles, I'm going to call them. That sounds like the English word cubicles. So really small rooms, areas. So we have quintus in cubiculo parvo dormit. So quintus dormit, I'm going to say it's not lives because that's habitat, maybe sleeps because it looks like dormit as in the English word dormit, not to move, so maybe sleeping. So quintus sleeps in a small cubicle. Okay. Esne magnum cubiculum marci. So is there a large cubicle for Marcus is essentially how I'm going to ask that. Id quoque parum est. And we're actually saying it is also small. Id, I guess, referring back to the cubicle here. So we asked if Marcus gets a large cubicle, and we're saying, no, it is also small. Okay, so all the kids are getting a small cubicle here. Julius et Aemilia in cubiculo magno dormiunt. Let's get that pronunciation right. So dormiunt, because we're talking about plural. So again, going with sleep. So Julius and Aemilia sleep in a large cubicle. Okay. Ubi dormiunt servi. So where do the slaves sleep? Ie quoque in cubiculus dormiunt. So, and we get the clue on the left side. So the slaves, so they, I guess, they also sleep in cubicles. Okay. Sunt ne magna eorum cubicula. So are their cubicles big? Is how we're reading that. Ia non magna sunt et multi servi in ubo cubiculo dormiunt. They are, so so they're referring to the objects, okay? They are not great, and many slaves sleep in one cubicle. There we go. Right. They're not great, and they all sleep in one cubicle. Okay. Etiam anculae multae in uno cubiculo dormiunt, neque eae magna cubiculo habent. Whew, there's a lot going on there. So we said etiam is like quoque at the start of this page here. Eae, anculae, we're referring to the female slaves here. So etiam anculae multae in uno cubiculo dormiunt. So also the female slaves, many female slaves sleep in one cubicle. Neque ea magna cubicula habent. The female slaves here, they do not have a large cubicle. Neque. Okay. And they do not have a large cubicle. We've got it, I think. Good. We've got through that paragraph. That was a big one. Let's move on. Let's listen to Luke again.
Aemilian peristylos est ne sola, Aemilia sola non est. Libri quem peristylo adsunt. Julius abest. Aemilia sine viro suo Julien vilast. Ubi est Julius? In oppido tus clost sin Aemilia.
Kick out.
Sed cum servis quatuor.
Okay. So clues over in the margin again. We have ia referring to Aemilia, so like she, and then have sine, which is the opposite of cum. So if they're not with someone, they are apart. I'm going to say it's apart. And we seem to start to be talking about setting a bit of a picture here, and judging by the picture on the next page, which you guys will get to see shortly, I think we're starting to talk about a scene again here. So Aemilia in peristulo est. So Aemilia is in the garden. Est ne sola, is she alone? No, probably not. Aemilia sola non est. Aemilia is not alone. Okay. But who is she with? Liberi cum ea in peristulo adsunt. So with children, she is with the children in the garden with her. Julius abest is away. Abest and adsunt. Aemilia sine viro su Julio in villa est. So Aemilia is apart from her man Julius, who is in the villa, is how I'm reading that. Okay. Ubi est Julius? Where is Julius? No. So if we're asking where Julius is here, then we haven't quite picked up on that previous sentence. So Aemilia sine viro suo Julio in villa est. Aemilia is apart. Aemilia is in the villa and apart from her man Julius. That's better. And then we say ubi est Julius. And, look who's come in the chat to join us. Giordanos, or one of our esteemed senators of Nova Roma, has gifted a tier 1 sub. And that's gone to, Tiberius Julius Nerva. There we go. Nerva, if you're watching this now or into the future, make sure you thank our good senator for his fantastic subscription to you. That's brilliant. And again, apparently you've gifted a total of 18 times to the channel. There we go. That's very good of you. Good on you for continuing to support the Nova Roma channel. That's fantastic. Hopefully that makes my interpretation of this Latin book better. Good motivation. So we're asking here, ubi est Julius? Where is Julius? In Opido Tusculo es sine Aemiliae. So we're saying he is in the town of Tusculum and is apart from Aemilia. So he's away from Aemilia right now. Okay. Sed cum servis quator. But she is with 4 slaves, apparently. Okay. Cool. Let's move on.
Aemilia cum
Next page.
Marco quinto Julia quinperistulos. Julia rosas pulcras in horto videt dabai Emilia discedit. Quae Emilia non est. Aemilia non videt. Puelli nortos.
All right, let's go through that. So we have an interesting, quirky margin clue here. So we have Julia cum Aemilia est. So Julia is with Aemilia. So I guess we have 2 dots representing Aemilia and Julia. And then if we say Julia ab Aemilia discedit, we're saying here that Julia leaves from Aemilia. Julia leaves from Aemilia. So I guess Julia is leaving Amelia's side. So it's trying to emphasize the relationship between the two here with the word ab. Okay. Let's see how we go here. So I have Aemilia cum Marco. So Aemilia is with Marcus. And Quintus and Julia in perstulo est, in the garden. Julia rosas pulchras in horto videt et ab Aemilia discedit. So Julia sees, that's the videt. So just skipping through the sentence, having looked for English ordering of the sentence. So Julia sees beautiful roses in the estate and departs from Aemilia. Okay? Iam ea cum Aemilia non est. Now she is not with Aemilia. Iam now, I think, is what we went through in previous chapters. Now she is not with Aemilia, and I guess that sentence makes sense based on what we just read. Aemilia eam non videt. So Aemilia does not see her, iam, so the action being performed here. Aemilia does not see her. Puella in horto est. So the girl is in the estate or in the garden. Okay. And I think we're about to hear from our characters. Let's see how we go.
Aemilia imperat. Marcet quinte, Juliam vocate. Marcus et Quintus Juliam vocant. Julia, veni. Sed Julius non audit, neque venit. Julia pueros vocat. Marcet quinte, venite. Hic multae rosae sunt.
All right, let's go through that. So, clues in the margin. Let's get a sense of those. So, eos, we're referring to pueros, so the boys, okay? And we have, I guess it's showing the garden, hortus, and Julia is right in the middle of the hortus, okay? Julia in horto est. Okay, cool. That matches with the image that we're seeing. And then we have Julia ex horto venit. So, Julia leaves from the garden. Now, why is it not ab? We have ex. Julia exits from the garden. So if we have in horto, it's meaning in, maybe the ex here means leaving from, potentially. Let's see if we can make sense of that leading through. Okay, so we have Aemilia imperat. What was imperat? We've had that word in previous chapters, but let's have a look. So we have Marce et Quinte Julian vocate. Now, have we missed a bit here? Yeah. No, we're okay. So Amelia does something and she yells to Marcus and Quintus. She's saying vocate Juliam. So please call Julia. So call, well, not please, it's an order. Call Julia. So Marcus and Quintus vocant Juliam. So Marcus and Quintus call for Julia. And they say, Julia, Wenny. So Julia, come here. But Julia eos non audit neque venit. So, but Julia does not hear the boys, or Julia does not hear them, and does not come, is what that says there. Then we say Julia pueros vocat. So Julia calls to the boys, Market quinte, venete, hic multae rosae sunt. So Marcus and Quintus, come here. There are many roses here. Yeah, cool. Okay. Awesome.
Puri Julia audiunt, nequiabae milia discedunt. Quintus. Carpe rosas, Julia. Julia rosas carpit et cumquinque rosis ex horto venit.
So, pueri Juliam auduant neque ille ab Amelia discedunt. Oh boy. Let's see if we can make sense of that. In the next line we have Quintus going, Carpe rosas, Julia. So, the boys hear Julia and do not leave Amelia. Is what I'm reading there. So discedunt. Quintus says, Carpe rosas, Julia. So something about roses, Julia. Carpe. Did you find, maybe? You find roses? Oh, here we go. Julia rosas carpet. Julia picks roses. So Quintus says, pick roses, Julia. Maybe. Okay. Julia rosas carpet et cum quinque rosas ex horto venit. So Julia picks roses and leaves the garden with quinque 5 roses. So she's leaving the garden with 5 roses that she has picked, and I guess she's bringing them back. Still not 100% happy with that line 56. Pueri Juliam auduant. So that's all right. So we're saying here that the boys hear Julia. And I guess we're going to confirm for ourselves, neque ille. So actually we saw ie, which in this case is referring to them. And they leave from Amelia. So maybe that's what we're saying, because I don't think, and they do not leave from Amelia. I thought neque is to not do something. But maybe they did. So let's read on. Let's see if we can make some sense of this article.
Julia. Vide mater, videte pueri, videte rosas meas. Julia laeta est, rosain delectant.
Okay. So Julia says, Vide mater, look here, mother. Videte pueri, look here, boys. Videte rosas meas. She says, look at my roses. Rosas, plural roses. There we go. Julia laeta est. So Julia is happy. We're happy with it. Laeta. Julia is happy. Delectant rosae eam. So Julia is happy. And then eam. Delectant. So she, rather, the roses are delectable to her. I'm not sure how to quite take on that last line, but she's happy with the roses, what we're deducing there. Delectant is a new word for us. Yes, not to be confused with discedet or discedunt. Let's see if we can pick it up a little bit further down. We can come back and have a look. So let's see what Amelia says.
Aemilia. Ecce puella pulcra cum rosis pulcris. Verba Emiliae Julian delectant.
There's that word again.
Marcus. Rosae pulcrae sunt. puella sine rosis pulcra non est. Verba Marci Juliam non delectant. Aemilia irata. Tace puerim probe. Julia puella pulcrast. Cum rosis et sine rosis.
Okay, so Amelia says, look at the beautiful girl with beautiful roses. Ecce puella pulchra cum rossis pulchris. Look at the beautiful girl with the beautiful roses. And then we say, verba Aemilia Juliam delectant. So there's that word again. So verba, I don't know. That's the feminine version of a word here. And I don't know whether we've seen that before. I'm trying to make sense of that word. But essentially, something has happened to Julia. So Amelia thinks something of Julia. Marcus, he's going to say, rosae pulchrae sunt. So roses are beautiful. Puella sine rosas pulchra non est. So a girl is not beautiful apart from roses. So maybe Marcus is suggesting here is that without the roses, she's not beautiful. Puellae sine, apart as opposed to cum. Rosas pulchra non est. And then verba Marci Juliam non delectant. So previously we had verba Amelia Juliam delectant. So Amelia thinks something of Julia, but then we're saying genitive. So Marcus thinks potentially. Marcus thinks Julia is not delectant. And that looks like delectable in English, doesn't it? What does delectable mean? Desirable. It can't be beautiful because we're saying that pulchra is beautiful or pulchrum is beautiful. So if pulchrum is beautiful, maybe delectant is like delectable, which means another form of good or desirable or something like that. So here, and I'm kind of wanting to go with that verba is thinking, potentially. So Amelia thinks Julia is delectable, because that's all I've got for the translation here so far. It's something pleasant. It is a pleasant view here. Marcus, in his statement, and I believe he said that roses are beautiful, but girls without beautiful roses are not, or is not. A girl is not beautiful apart from a rose, apart from roses. And here we're saying perhaps Marcus thinks Julia is not delectable. Okay. And then Amelia's going to be angry at that, at the statement, perhaps, because the boys are appearing to cause trouble here. She's going to say, tace puer improbor. Improbe. So, quiet, naughty boy. And I guess addressing him directly. So we get that improbus, which is improbe. So Julia puella pulchra est. Julia is a beautiful girl. Cum rosas et sine rosas. So with roses and without roses. And I guess so that final line is sort of confirming what we think Marcus was saying there previously. So not 100% sure on this verba, but I'm currently going with its thinks. But it just looks so familiar, doesn't it? If you're in chat or in YouTube in the future, put in what you think this verba means. I'll have to go back and look at previous chapters, or even previous in this chapter. I feel like we've seen like verbus. Is that verbus, verba? Is that a word that we've come across already? Maybe, maybe not. And then we have delectant, a new word. It's something positive. Looks very similar to the English word delectable. Maybe desirable. So that's the word that I'm currently going, but we'll see. All right, so we're about 2/3 of the way through. We're doing all right. Let's go to the next page and let's see how we go. Any other major clues we need to look out for? Not as yet. Let's see what happens. Here we go.
Julia. Audite Marcet quinte. Marcus. Mater non videt nasum tum foedum.
Okay.
Marcus et Quintus rident. Hai! Julia. Audi, mamma. Pur etiam me rident. Julia plurat, et cuna rosa abis discedit. Aemilia. Tacete pur improbi. Nasus Juliae foedus non est.
Let's go through with that. So Julia says, Audite, Marque et Quinte. Audite, Marque et Quinte. So Julia says, listen, Marcus and Quintus. Marcus says, Mater non videt nausum tum fodum. So Marcus says, Mother does not see your ugly nose. Mother doesn't you see your ugly nose. And Marcus and Quintus ridet. So rident. So they laugh. Ha 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 ha. Julia says, Audi, mama, pueri etiam me rident. So Julia says, listen, mama, listen, mum. The boys etiam. The boys are laughing at me. I think that's what it says. Etiam. At the action being performed on etiam here. The boys are laughing at me potentially. Julia plorat et cum una rosa ab is discedit. Is discedit. So Julia plorat et cum. Julia cries and leaves with one rose from them. So is referring to the multiple boys here. Is. Okay. Amelia says, Tacete pueri improbi. So quiet, naughty boys. Nausus Juliae foedus non est. So Julia does not have an ugly nose. All right, let's continue to listen.
Discedit ex peristulo, sumite ceteras rosas, eas quinaqua punite. Pueri ceteras quattur rosas sumunt et quis discedunt. Aemilia, quae iam solast in peristulo, ancillas vocat. Deliet syra, venite.
All right, so Amelia, after shushing the boys and saying that Julia does not have an ugly nose, she says, Discedite, discedite, discedite. I want to go back and hear that. I'm not sure about that.
Rosa sumunt et quis discedunt. Aemilia, quae iam solast in peristulo,
No, further back.
irata. Tace puer improbe. Julia puella pulcrast, cum rosis et sine rosis. Julia. Audite Marc et Quinte.
Audite.
Marcus. Mater non videt nasum tum foedum.
Foedum.
Marcus et Quintus rident. Hai! Julia. Audi, mamma. Pur etiam me rident.
Rident.
Julia plurat, et cuna rosa abis discedit.
Abisis.
Aemilia.
Isis.
Cete pur improbi. Nasus Juliae foedus non
Foedus.
est. Discedit ex.
Disceditex. So he wraps those words together. Disceditex pistulo. So get out from the garden. Sumate ceteras rosas esque in aqua ponite. So she's giving an instruction here.
Peristulo, sumite ceteras rosas, eas quinaqua punite.
So, sumit, we know is pick up. So pick up the other roses and put them, meaning the roses, and put them in water. Cool, all right. So we're going to put the rest of the roses in water. All right. So, pueri ceteras quattuor rosas sumunt et cum is discedunt. So, let's listen to Luke there.
Pueri ceteras quattuor rosas sumunt et quis discedunt. Aemilia?
Okay. So, the boys pick up 4 roses and leave with them. Eos being the roses. Okay.
Quaian solas in peristylo, ancillas vocat. Deliet syra venite.
So Amelia, who is now alone in the garden, calls for the female slaves. So Amelia quae iam sola est in peristylo ancillas vocat. Delia et syra venite. So she calls, so Amelia, who's now alone in the garden, calls for female slaves Delia and Syra, come here.
Deliet syra ex atrio veniunt. Aemilias interrogat. Sunt ne pur in atrio?
So Delia and Syra arrive from the atrium. Amelia asks them, are the boys in the atrium?
Delia respondit.
So Delia et Syra ex atrio veniunt, Aemilia eas interrogat, sunt ne pueri in atrio? And then Delia responded, so Delia is going to respond with, in atrio sunt, are in the atrium.
In atrio sunt.
Atrio.
Aemilia. Quid agunt Marcus et Quintus? Delia. Puriaquam sumut ex impluio? Syra. Et rosas in aqua ponunt. Hic, dominet ancillae, puros audiunt ex atrio. Quintus plorat, et Marcus ridet.
All right, something's going on. So, Aemilia says, quid agunt Marcus et Quintus? So, what something, agunt, is a new word here. What Marcus and Quintus something. And then Delia is going to say with, pueri aquam sumunt ex impluio. So the boys pick up water from the impluium, from the fountain. And then Syra is going to finish that with et rosas in aqua ponunt. So Syra is saying, and placing the roses in water. So maybe Amelia's asking, so she's inquiring what the boys are doing. So maybe she's asking, what are Marcus and Quintus doing? So what are Marcus and Quintus doing? And then Delia and Syra are going to respond with pueri aquam sumunt ex impluio. Syra goes, et rosas in aqua ponunt. So the boys are picking up water from the fountain and putting roses in the water. Okay. Hic domina et ancillae pueros audiunt ex atrio, Quintus plorat et Marcus ridet. So here the female master and the female slaves hear the boys in the atrium. Quintus is crying and Marcus is laughing. So both Amelia here, the female master, and the female slaves hear the boys in the atrium. Quintus is crying, Quintus is crying and Marcus is laughing. So hic domina et ancillae pueros audiunt ex atrio, Quintus plurat et Marcus ridet. All right, let's see what's going on. Amelia's going to say something. Here we go.
Aemilia. Quid iagut pueri? Aci Delia, discedet interrogeus. Delia Aemilia Syra discedit. Aemilia Syra interrogat. Ubi astavus? Syra respondit. In oppidos cum Domino. Delia xatrio venit et dominam vocat. Veni, o domina, veni. Aemilia, quid est Delia?
All right. So Amelia's going to ask, quid iam agunt pueri? So what now are the boys doing, having heard what's going on in the atrium? Age Delia. What are the boys? So maybe is it so age agunt? It looks very similar there. So maybe what are the boys going on about? Because that age looks like go Delia. Discede et interga eos. Eos meaning boys here, them. So maybe it's go Delia, leave and question the boys. Delia ab Amelia et Sira discedit. So Delia leaves from Amelia and Sira. Amelia Siram interrogat. So Amelia asks Sira, ubi est Davus? So where is Davus? Sira responded. So Sira responds with, in opito est cum domino. So in the city with the master. Delia ex atrio venit et dominam vocat. Veni, or domina, veni. So Delia comes back from the atrium and calls to the female master, come, O master, come. So Amelia, quid est Delia? Amelia is saying, what is it, Delia? What is it? What's going on? So obviously something's happened to the boys and she's calling for the female master to come into the atrium to see what's going on.
Delia, quintus est in impluio.
Oh, okay, now we understand.
Aemilia, in impluio? Quid agit pur in impluio? Delia, aquam pulsat et te vocat. Aemilia, quid agit Marcus? Delia, is ridet, quia quintus in aqua est. Aemilia, por improbus est Marcus. Agite, Iulium vocate ancillae. Syra, sed Dominus in oppido est. Aemilia, ia rursus ab est Iulius. Delia, age, veni domina, et Marcum verbera.
All right, so Delia is going to say, Quintus est in pluio. So Delia is going to respond with, Quintus is in the fountain. What's going on? Why is Quintus in the fountain? Amelia is going to say, in impluio, in the fountain. Quid agit puer in impluio? What or why? Why is the boy in the fountain? There's that agit. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Delia is going to respond with aquam pulsat et te vocat. So, pulsat et he called. So, he pulsat hit the water and he called. Amelia says, quid agit Marcus? Was it Marcus's doing? What is the boy doing in the water? So maybe that's what agit here is like doing. Or doing, yeah, let's say doing. That makes sense here. Amelia in impluio. Quid agit puer in impluio. What is the boy doing in the water? Delia is responding with aquam pulsat et te vocat. So he hit the water and called out. Amelia says, quid agit Marcus? Was it Marcus doing? What is Marcus doing? And then Delia is going, is ridet quia quintus in aqua est. Delia is going to respond with, he's laughing because Quintus is in the water. Amelia is going to do this, puer improbus est Marcus agate Iuliam vocate ancelae. So, Marcus is a naughty boy. And then there's this agite again, so doing. Again, actions doing. Iuliam vocata ancelae. So, female slaves call for Julius. is I think what's going on. Sira is going to add sed dominus in opere est. Right, so Amelia is frustrated. Call for the master, and then Sira's going to remind her with no, sed dominus in opere est, but the master is in the city, in the town.
Quid agit domina? Domina irata, quanquilis ex peristulo discedit.
Let's finish this off. So Sira, Amelia's going to say, iam Russus abest Julius. So, now, we saw Russus before. I want to go back and have a quick look. We've come across a Russus before. Where is the context here for us? It's not also, because that's quoque. But now Julius is gone. I don't know. We've got to go remind ourselves what Russus means here. So we've got to remember our vocabulary as we go through these chapters. Delia will respond with this age. Veni domina et Marcum verbera. We've had verbera before. Quid age domina? So what is going on, female master? Domina irata cum ancilis ex perstulo discedit. So the angry female master leaves from the garden with the female slaves. Where are we going, Domina? Is potentially what's going there. So age veni domina et Marcum verbera. Let's see. So we're going to have to go back through this chapter, remind ourselves this word agit, an age. It's not 100% clear to me what this word means, but we're getting the general gist of the sentence. So we'll have to revise this before we go on to the next chapter, reminding ourselves we're bera and agit and Russus. So these are words, the two of those we've come across before already. All right. So go ahead, if you're watching this on YouTube in the future, get in before everybody and you let us know what those words means. And if there's any other words that I haven't got right this evening, pop those in the comments. Love to hear your feedback, particularly if you're more advanced in this book than I, or even if you're a Latinist. Your help will be incredibly warm welcome. But that gives me some homework to think about over the course of the next week before we meet again next Monday. So there is homework in the book. I might try and do that to keep up, maybe refresh myself on the chapters. So hopefully I'm a little bit better before we hit Chapter 6 next Monday. So please join us again then, 9:30 a.m. Rome time or 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard. It is wonderful to be here again this week, and we're looking forward to seeing you next time. And until then, volete.